Welcome to Little Host, the real Ed Oliver. Today is just going to be a lot of news and notes. The Washington Wizards interviewed Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And there are reports that Washington has discussed internally about trading back in the draft. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
So I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so I do want to talk about the playoffs a little bit somewhere in this podcast today, but there are reports. I listened to Quinton Mayo's podcast, and he said the Washington Wizards have internally discussed trading back in the draft. And he said that this was before they even got picked 10. So Quinton Mayo is a reporter for the Washington Wizards. He has a podcast, and that's what he talked about. That's what he's heard. And it makes a lot of sense for the Wizards to trade back, in my opinion. It kind of makes sense for them to stay too. I do want to go over some historical trade backs. I didn't go back to like 2010 or 2005. I just went back 3 years and I screenshotted, took some pictures of some trade backs, and a lot of the trade backs were from that sweet spot that we're in. It's not really a sweet spot. I feel like 8, 9, and 10 are kind of an awkward spot. You can still get a good player, but you're not a top 5 pick. It's kind of like I said with the Wizards before. We're in that treadmill mode, kind of like that purgatory where it's not a terrible spot. It's not a great spot. It's not an awful spot. It's just where you are. You're right in the middle of everything. And I do want to go over some some trade backs in the past and how they worked out. Could have potentially worked out for the Wizards. And it doesn't really mean anything because every year is different. The player pool is different. Some drafts do have some diamonds in the rough, like Anton Jameson, the pro player personnel director for the Washington Wizards, former all-star for the Wizards, former Wizards legend. Anton Jameson said they're looking for their diamond in the rough. We've heard Tommy Shepard say we're looking for 15. We like 15 guys, which is normal GM speak around this time. You think about the NFL draft, GMs, they don't want to play their cards. Tommy Shepard doesn't want to play his cards. What he wants to do is, keep his cards to the vest, as he's been quoted to say, and he's not gonna show his cards once again, like I keep saying. But that's what you're supposed to do as a GM. Some people call it, lying or fibbing season. You're not going to tell everybody what you want to do. So saying that you like 15 guys, I don't have a problem with it because it's GM speak, it's coach speak. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to let everybody know what you want to do. So I get that's what every GM is basically saying. So I do want to talk about Johnny Davis though. So he's one of the guys that are where Washington was reported as one of the teams that interviewed Johnny Davis. So this is from Mike Vorkunov. He is a basketball business reporter. Saw this tweet on Twitter. He said the Wizards, 6'5" Johnny Davis, guard from Wisconsin, has already interviewed with the Knicks, Pistons, Cavaliers, Spurs, Wizards, and Nuggets. He said so. All those teams that are listed have really picked 10 and lower. I mean, the Pistons have a bunch of top 5. They have a top 5 pick. The Cavaliers are, I want to say, the 14th pick. The Spurs are in the teens. The Spurs have 2 picks in the teens. Wizards were at 10. The Nuggets are a mid-round pick as well. The Knicks are right behind us at pick 11. So that's right around that range for Johnny Davis. So I do want to read some of a scouting report and some numbers that I found on Johnny Davis, just to give you guys some background from Wisconsin. Johnny Davis, he has a decorated career, and he's a polarizing player right now. So he was the Big Ten Player of the Year in 2022, All Big Ten in 2022, consensus All-American, averaged 19 points a game, 8.2 boards a game. He's 6'5", 196 pounds from Wisconsin. You're 6'5" and rebounding and getting 8 boards a game. That's what really stands out to me because what the Wizards are looking for. They're looking for dogs, shooters, guys that can defend. Johnny Davis is a capable defender. You look at him play against Jaden Ivey, who's my number 1 on the big board, and they battled back and forth in that game. That game really impressed me. The Michigan game is the game that I watched. I don't know if that's the game where Juwan Howard had the altercation. That's neither here nor there, but the game that I watched Johnny Davis that really impressed me, it was the Michigan game where he got the ball in the high post. He used his right hand, got to the basket, used his left hand on the next play, got to the basket again. Then they gave the ball to him in the high post. They just gave him the ball and told him to go score. They told him to go score. He was the number one option by far. He took a lot of tough shots. That's what they wanted him to do. That's what he had to do with that offense. No disrespect to his teammates, but, the offense ran through him. Now, he had an ankle injury towards the latter part of the season, like right before the Big Ten tournament. Didn't play too well in the Big Ten tournament. And I think it really hampered him, kind of like Ty Washington when he got that ankle injury. But Johnny Davis is a bucket getter. He's an elite scorer. In college, he's an elite scorer. He does have some traits that I think can translate the step back, the behind the back. He loves that a lot to create separation and get open and knock down shots. I think he's athletic. He can get in the passing lanes as well. He has pretty long arms. So I want to go over his measurements here at the combine too. So his official NBA combine measure is 6'5" in shoes, 6'8" wingspan, 8'7" inch standing reach, and 196 pounds with 6.7% body fat. So that's very similar to Devin Booker. And when I watch him play in college, he does similar things to Devin Booker, where they do give him the ball in the post. He can post up, turn around jumpers, step back jumpers. He can post you up, he can back you down at the college level. We'll see if they can translate to the NBA level. But he's an elite scorer. He's a 3-level scorer. He can get to the basket, he can score, finish through contact. I like Johnny Davis a lot. 44% from the field, 72% free throw shooter, which I think he's a better shooter than that, in my opinion. Now, 30% from 4 attempts per game is definitely something he needs to improve on, his three-point shooting. But I like the form, and he's just a natural scorer. The concerns for me is watching a guy like James Bouknight last year. And that was James Bouknight's his rookie season. And he didn't get to play a lot with the Hornets. I guess he didn't earn playing time. Didn't really get to watch the situation. But scoring guards that come out of college, sometimes it takes some time, just naturally like every other player. And sometimes they hit the ground running. But I do like Johnny Davis. If we get him, I wouldn't be upset. The fit is the question. He's most likely going to come off the bench behind Bradley Beal. But I don't have a problem with that. Like I said earlier, if I said I had a problem with that, I'd be contradicting myself, because I do like Jaden Hardy from the G League. And I said I would go against the grain, and I wouldn't be mad at picking Jaden Hardy from the G League at night, who's a 6'5" or 6'4" shooting guard, who's more of a scoring guard. He's a microwave scorer, somebody. And I think the Wizards haven't had a guy that can come off the bench and just get buckets, like a microwave guy, like a Jamal Crawford, or, we had Nick Young or Jordan Clarkson or Lou Williams, guys like that could just come in and just score instantly. But Johnny Davis gives you rebounding prowess, and he gives you defensive prowess as well. So this is a stat. This is from Pell's Muse on Twitter. So they said Johnny Davis shot 21 for 54, 38.9% on half-court catch-and-shoot threes. Now, he's a 30% three-point shooter, which is concerning, but the catch-and-shoot threes, which is what gives me hope for his three-point shooting to translate to the NBA. He had a 32.5 usage rate, which was highest among all top 50 prospects. So that's telling there, when you're dribbling the ball and you have that usage rate, you're seeing double teams, you're seeing triple teams. In college, you're seeing 2-3 zones, you're seeing box and ones that were being thrown at Johnny Davis. So, he was on ball a lot. Now, he's not a point guard. In my opinion, he's more of a shooting guard. Like I said, he played similar to Devin Booker, but he played in the passing lanes, and he got a couple easy steals. And I think he has good athleticism too. He had a couple one-hand dunks if you watch his tape and his highlights. He had a couple poster dunks as well. So I'm intrigued by Johnny Davis. There's a lot of guys, like Tommy Shepard said, that I like as well. He averaged 1.1 assists per game, one steal per game. So if you're looking for a playmaker, is he capable of doing it? Sure. Defensive rating, 96.9 defensive rating, and a 4.2 win share. So Johnny, he puts up some good numbers, man. Seriously, he had a really good career. He's a sophomore, really improved from his freshman. Now, his freshman year, he shot the three ball better. You look at his percentages. He shot 38% from the three, but he only shot 1 3 per game, and he averaged 7 points per game his freshman year. So he really took a leap from his freshman year to his sophomore year. So I love seeing the improvement there from Johnny Davis. So I'm intrigued by Johnny Davis. I really am. I like him. I'm not gonna say I like him a lot. There's a couple guys at 10 that I really like a lot. It's debatable, but we'll see. I do like Johnny Davis. He's one of the guys that I do like at pick 10. That would somewhat make sense. It's just the fit. He's coming off the bench behind Bradley Beal. How much playing time is he going to get? Can he contribute? I think defensively he can come in and make an impact, and I think he can create separation and create a bucket for himself. So I do think he would earn playing time instantly if the Wizards draft him at 10. But let's get to trading back. I'm gonna bring up about 3 or 4 possible trade proposals to trade back, and I'm gonna talk about the history of trading back and how has it really worked out for some teams. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Sakara. Feeling your best starts with what you eat. Sakara helps you live a healthy, balanced lifestyle and truly enjoy with delicious plant-rich transformation, nutrition that builds a foundation for living in your best body. Sakara is a wellness company anchored in food as medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. Sakara gives you the tools you need to transform your life with their organic, ready-to-eat meal delivery program and functional wellness essentials. Their nutritionally designed chef-crafted breakfast, lunch, and dinners are made with powerful plant-rich ingredients, helping boost your energy, support your digestion, curb your sugar cravings, and get your skin glowing. Plus, it's all delivered right to your door, ready to eat. And right now, Sakara is offering our listeners 20% off their first order when they go to sakara.com/lockedon20 or enter code LOCKEDON20. That's all caps at checkout. So all caps for locked on, and then the numbers 20 at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/LockedOn20 to get 20% off your order at sakara.com/LockedOn20. Just want to thank you guys for listening to making your first listen Locked On Wizards every day. Make sure to go check out Locked On NBA Big Board. Host Rafael Barlow from NBA Draft Junkies and author of the NBA Big Board newsletter is joined by Richard Stamen, Sam Ferris, and Leif Thulin, giving fans an in-depth look into the NBA draft, mock draft, player rankings, and of course, Big Boards. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. All right, so let's talk about trading back here. I'm going to read the quote that I found from Quinton Mayo's podcast. I wrote it down. I'll read it real quick. He said, Washington has internally discussed trading back in the draft lottery before the lottery. More likely, and he says they're more likely to trade back than trade up. He says there's a 70% chance that the Wizards will trade pick 10 either for a veteran point guard or trade up or trade back. So here's a list of teams that do have multiple picks. Looking at NBADraft.net. Looking at the mock draft, just looking to see who has multiple picks that the Wizards could trade back with. The first team is the Charlotte Hornets. They have pick 13 and they have pick 15. So will they want to trade back with the Wizards? It's possible. That's a trade scenario that could possibly happen. I don't see the Hornets trading pick 13 and 15 to move up 3 spots to pick 10 unless they really, really, really love somebody at pick 10. Like, let's say Benedict Mathurin falls to pick 10 when he's really not supposed to, or Shaedon Sharpe falls to pick 10 when he's not supposed to. I think a lot of people are going to just be ringing the Wizards' phone. Tommy Shepard's phone is going to be ringing off the hook if somebody like Shaedon Sharpe drops to 10 or AJ Griffin drops to 10. I think teams would just be like, hey, come on. We just want to, we'll give you these picks. These guys were not supposed to be here. We'll make the move right now. We'll give you picks 13, 15. But the Hornets, they're looking for a big. They're looking for a big. They don't really have an established big. They have Plumlee. They have Nick Richards. But I know they're looking for a big man for sure. The Spurs are another team that have 2 picks in the first round. They have pick 20 and they have pick 25. So maybe, like I said, the Spurs, they really like AJ Griffin from what I've heard and seen. If AJ Griffin, once again, if he drops to 10, I feel like the Spurs would definitely call the Wizards for pick 10. But it's like the Wizards, you might as well stay and get AJ Griffin. You might as well stay and just get Benedict Mathurin, in my opinion, if those guys drop to 10. Another team is the Memphis Grizzlies. They have pick 22 and pick 29. In the first round. So those are 3 teams I could possibly see the Wizards calling to discuss trading back, especially if nobody that they really like is there at 10, or even before the draft, if they want to make that call and make that trade, they possibly could. So let's go over the recent history here of picks that, and Jake Fisher did say, he said Memphis, San Antonio, and OKC are interested in trading up. So those are the teams that I basically said they're interested in trading up to consolidate. This is per Jake Fisher. So like I said, Memphis has 2 first-round picks. The Spurs have 2 latter-round picks that they're looking to package up for guys. So the first trade that I found that was recent was Mikal Bridges for the Suns, who's an excellent 3-and-D player, can shoot the lights out, just got paid, just got a contract extension on the Suns, was a part of that finals team, was a part of the team this year that got beat up on by the Mavericks in Game 7, but he's been a key contributor for them. He's definitely played above expectations for sure. This is the 2019 draft. Yeah, this is the draft this is the 2018 draft with Trae Young, Luka Doncic in that draft, Mikal Bridges in that draft, DeAndre Ayton's in that draft. So the 10th pick, the Suns traded up with the Sixers. So the Sixers had the 10th pick. The Sixers traded back and got the 16th pick and the 2021 first-round pick that was from the Miami Heat. So with the 10th pick, the Suns drafted Mikal Bridges. That's a win right there for them. The Sixers traded back and got Zaire Smith, who had a medical condition And I am sorry, I have not kept up with Zaire Smith at all. But it's unfortunate he had a medical condition, so I'm not going to call him a bust. But basically, if the Wizards did that, we would be highly disappointed. If we got a player that had a career so far like a Zaire Smith. And it's unfortunate what's happened to Zaire Smith, but production wise for the pick that you got, the Sixers lost that trade. All right, so this one is another one. This is from Zach. This is the Zach Collins trade. This is, I want to say this is the 2017 or 20. I'm sorry, I don't have the years. 20. This is the 2017 draft. The Blazers had pick 10, or I'm sorry, the Kings had pick 10. So they traded pick 10 with the Blazers. The Blazers got the 15th pick and the 20th pick, which I could see the Wizards doing something like that with the Spurs. So the Blazers, they ended up trading up to pick 10, and they got Zach Collins, the center who no longer is on the Blazers. He's on the Spurs now. But Zach Collins has been a solid rotational big. You know, did they hit on that pick? No, but they didn't get a bust. I think he's a good player, not a great player. It's kind of like what the Wizards have right now. They have good players that they've picked in the last 3 years, but they don't have great players. They don't have franchise guys or number one guys, somebody that you can build your franchise around. And Zach Collins is certainly not that. He's more of a rotational guy, backup big, in my opinion. They traded back to and the Kings traded back. They traded their 10th pick back with the Blazers. They got the 15th pick and the 20th pick. The 15th pick ended up to be Justin Jackson, and they got Harry Giles. Harry Giles, I got to look up and see if he's in the league anymore. He went to Duke. He was the number one prospect in high school at the time, but he tore his ACL, and his career is not panning out as well at all. Justin Jackson, his career is not panning out as well. He's been an okay rotational 3-and-D guy. He can shoot the three, but he's not very physical. Doesn't really play through contact a lot. So basically, the Kings lost that trade. So that's telling me, hey, this is another one trade that I found as well. This one, Marquise Chris was the 8th pick for the Suns. So the Kings had the 8th pick. They traded back a couple years ago. They picked up Bogdanovich, who was a good player. He plays for the Hawks now. He's an elite shooter, can create for himself, can get buckets, plays really, really good. Next to Trae Young. I like Bogdanovich a lot. The guy they got back in they got the 13th pick and the 28th pick. So in simple language, the Kings had the 8th pick. They traded back with the Suns for the 13th pick, the 28th pick, and Bogdanovich. With the 13th pick, they got Georgios Papagiannis. And they got Skal Labissiere from Kentucky at the 28th pick, who's not in the league anymore. Skal Labissiere was highly touted coming out of high school. Didn't have a great career at Kentucky either. That's why he went at 28th. He was projected to be like a top 10 pick coming out of high school. Everybody projected that to happen, but it just didn't work out. It didn't work out for either team. So nobody really won that trade. The Phoenix Suns got the 8th pick. They got Marquise Chris, who has been on multiple teams now. Marquise Chris is on the Mavericks now. He's on the bench. And he's not a bust or anything like that, but he's been in and out of the league on multiple teams. So nobody won that trade at all. So some of these trade backs are kind of funky in my opinion. I'm going to say one more trade back, and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to talk about some guys that impressed in the combine as well that definitely caught my eye before we wrap up. But this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so I'm sorry, guys. I almost forgot this one trade. That is a trade proposal that was circulating on Twitter. I want to get you guys feedback on this trade. I want you guys to comment down below, yes or no, why or in, and why not, or why would you take this trade. So this is from somebody on Twitter, Evan Townsend on Twitter. He is an NBA draft analysis with Project Spurs. So he says this is why I brought up the Spurs too. So his draft day trade idea is the Spurs receive, and I'll probably pin this comment down below so you guys can read it in plain English. It's a lot of reading to read out these picks and whatnot. So the Spurs receive Kyle Kuzma, Corey Kispert in pick 10. The Wizards receive Doug McDermott, Joe Wieskamp, picks 9, pick 20, and pick 25. So the Wizards essentially get 3 first-round picks. They give up 1 first-round pick, but they give up Kuz and they give up Corey Kispert. They receive Doug McDermott and they receive Joe Wieskamp. Now, Doug McDermott is basically what Corey Kispert has been compared to coming in, an elite shooter, a guy who can a movement shooter who can knock down with 3 or 4 or 5 threes a game. That's what Doug McDermott does. Dougie McBuckets. Doug McDermott is somewhat athletic too. I've seen him have a couple dunks too, as same as Corey Kispert. He's pretty athletic. Has had a couple dunks. So you're basically trading for what you want Corey Kispert to become in the NBA, and then you're giving up Kyle Kuzma for pick 9, pick 20, and 25. So pick 9, hopefully Mathurin would fall. You would get him at pick 9, in my opinion. Pick 20, I would get Jaden Hardy. Pick 25, I'd probably get like J.D. Davidson or Alabama, or the guy Jalen Williams, who has really, really shot up draft boards in the NBA draft combine. I do want to do an episode talking about him. I may get Mavs draft back on just to get a breakdown on Jalen Williams, because he's played really, really well in the combine lately. And he's a guy that rise up in the draft board. He's not similar to Kevin Huerter, but I remember when Kevin Huerter, who was a Maryland alum, a Terp, he had a great combine. He was scoring. I want to say Jalen Williams had like 20 points. He was like 6 for 8 in one game. He can shoot three. He can dribble. He can create a shot for himself. He's about 6'6", 6'7". I got to do more research on him out of Santa Clara and watch him a little bit more. But if the Wizards trade back, that's somebody that could definitely intrigue them. And I think they should definitely take a look at him. But for me, I would say no. The reason why I say no to this trade proposal is because I don't want. The only way I'm going to give up Kyle Kuzma is if I'm trading up to pick 4, the Kings pick, who they are looking to trade that pick. Reported by Jake Fisher from The Athletic. That's the only way I'm trading Kyle Kuzma, is if we're trading up to pick 4 and possibly getting Jaden Ivey. That's the only way I'm trading Kyle Kuzma. I'm not trading Kyle Kuzma to trade back, but technically you trade up and back at the same time. So you get 3 first-round picks. Only what I would do, I would take Kyle Kuzma off the list. I would keep Corey Kispert and pick. I would have my trade would be Corey Kispert, pick 10 for Doug McDermott, and pick 20 and pick 25. That's the trade I would do. Joe Wieskamp, he can shoot the lights out as well. I want to say he went to Iowa University in the Big Ten, and he could shoot the leather off the basketball. But I would do Corey Kispert and pick 10, keep Kuzma, and then take Doug McDermott and pick 20 and pick 25. That's what I would do. But honestly, the salaries have to match there. That's the thing with the Wizards. The salaries have to match. So technically, you can't do that. But the proposal is intriguing, but personally, I would say no. But pick 9, 20, 25, Doug McDermott and Wieskamp, it's not a loss. But like I said, Kyle Kuzma had such a great year. I know Kyle Kuzma is coming up on a contract year. He has a player option after next season, and he most likely will be making more than $13.5 million for sure. So it's an intriguing trade. Like I said, you guys comment yes or no, whatever you guys think on that trade. So it's an intriguing trade proposal. A lot of Wizards fans were very negative on that trade. But like I said, if you're going to have Bradley Beal on the roster too, I think Kyle Kuzma played really, really well next to Bradley Beal. So I wouldn't trade Kuzma to trade back. I'm only trading Kyle Kuzma to trade up, because I like the way that Kyle Kuzma and Bradley Beal played together during the season. So, but yeah, there's only one more historical trade that I have, is actually Doug McDermott. The Bulls traded Doug McDermott. I'm sorry. The Nuggets traded Doug McDermott and Anthony Randolph. They traded pick 11 to the Bulls. The Nuggets traded back. They got pick 16 and pick 19. So this is the trade in plain English. The Nuggets had pick 11 and they had Anthony Randolph on the roster. They traded it to the Bulls for pick 16 and pick 19. So that's the equivalent of the Wizards for trading pick 10 and let's say pick 10 and Denny, or pick 10 and Corey. I mean, Denny and Corey are having better careers than Anthony Randolph. But let's say they trade pick 10 and one of the young 3 for pick 16 and pick 19, or pick 20 and 25, which what the Spurs have. So let's see how that trade worked out in hindsight. Who won the trade? The Nuggets end up getting Doug McDermott. The Nuggets ended up getting Yusuf Nurkic and Gary Harris at pick 19. So those are 2 good players. Both those players are not on the roster anymore, but those are 2 good players. If the Wizards ended up with a Nurkic and a Gary Harris, I would be very happy with that. Those are 2 productive players. But what happened is later on, in 2 years after, Nurkic played really well, but a guy named Nikola Jokic, the 2-time MVP, was drafted by the Nuggets in the second round as well. And Jokic was so good that Nurkic requested a trade, and Nurkic ended up getting traded to the Blazers. So, but that's one trade that worked out for the Nuggets. The Nuggets have just swung, and they just made some really good moves in the draft. They've been able to draft well. Tim Connolly is reportedly to be discussing or had discussions with the Timberwolves to join them as their GM. So we'll see about that. But you guys let me know what you guys think about Johnny Davis. Definitely comment yes or no for that trade proposal. And I just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA from the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals. Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. Hail to